episode of Sleep and Relax ASMR. This episode, we are discussing the year 1993. I will be whispering some events, some facts, some births, and some deaths. If it's the first time you listen to an episode like this, basically I pick a year and I just talk about the year. Everything is provided through Wikipedia. We learn something, and for many of you, I'm sure it bores you to the point of sleep. I decided to whisper this one because I get requests for whispered episodes. I get requests for spoken episodes, softly spoken episodes. I just try to mix it up every now and then, give everyone a little bit of what they want. So, let's jump into it. January 1st, Czechoslovakia ceases to exist as the Czech Republic and Slovakia separate in the so-called Velvet Divorce. Also January 1st, the European Economic Community eliminates trade barriers and creates a European single market. January 2nd, Sri Lankan Civil War. The Sri Lanka Navy kills 35 to 100 civilians on the Jaffna Lagoon. January 3rd, in Moscow, Presidents George H.W. Bush and Boris Yeltsin signed the Second Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty. January 5th, $7.4 million USD is stolen from the Brinks Armored Car Depot in Rochester, New York, in the fifth largest robbery in U.S. history. January 6th. Douglas Hurd is the first high-ranking British official to visit Argentina since the Falklands War. January 7th. The Fourth Republic of Ghana is inaugurated with Jerry Rawlings as president. January 8th through 17th. The Breyer storm of January 1993, the most intense extratropical cyclone on record for the northern Atlantic Ocean, occurs. January 13th. The Chemical Weapon Convention, CWC, is signed. January 19th. IBM announces a $4.97 billion loss for 1992, the largest single-year corporate loss in United States history to date. January 20th. Bill Clinton is sworn in as the 42nd President of the United States. January 25th. Social Democrat Paul Nyrup Rasmussen succeeds conservative Poul Schlüter as Prime Minister of Denmark. January 26th. Václav Havel is elected President of the Czech Republic. After we learned that on January 1st, Czechoslovakia was split into two separate countries, Czech Republic and Slovakia. Now we get on to February. On the 4th, members of the right-wing Austrian Freedom Party of Austria split to form the Liberal Forum in protest against the increasing nationalistic bent of the party. The next day, Belgium becomes a federal monarchy rather than a unitary kingdom. Carlos Clarides, not sure how to say his name, defeats incumbent George Vasilou in the Cypriot presidential election. On that exact same day, Albert Zaffi defeats Didier Ratsiraka in the Madagascar presidential election. February 24th, Prime Minister of Canada, Brian Mulroney, resigns amidst political and economic turmoil. Kim Campbell, his successor, becomes Canada's first female Prime Minister. March 11th, Janet Reno is confirmed by the United States Senate and sworn in the next day, becoming the first female Attorney General of the United States. March 13th through 15th, the Great Blizzard of 1993 strikes the eastern U.S., bringing record snowfall and other severe weather all the way from Cuba to Quebec. It reportedly kills 184. March 13th, Australian federal election 1993. Paul Keating's Labour government is re-elected with an increased majority, defeating the Liberal/National coalition led by John Hewson. March 24th, the Israeli Knesset elects Ezer Weizman as president of Israel, and on that exact same day, South Africa officially abandons its nuclear weapons program. President de Klerk announces that the country's 6 warheads had already been dismantled in 1989. March, the 65th Academy Awards, hosted by Billy Crystal, are held at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion in LA, with Unforgiven winning Best Picture. The month of April. April 8th, the Republic of Macedonia is admitted to the United Nations. 16th of April, Bosnian War, the enclave of Srebrenica is declared a UN-protected safe area. April 21st, the Supreme Court in La Paz, Bolivia, sentences former dictator Luis Garcia Mesa to 30 years in jail without parole for murder, theft, fraud, and violating the Constitution. April 23rd, the World Health Organization declares tuberculosis a global emergency. 26 of that month, Oscar Luigi Scalfaro appoints Carlo Azeglio Ciampi as Prime Minister of Italy. April 27th, Yemeni parliamentary election 1993. The General People's Congress wins a plurality of 121 seats. May 9th, Juan Carlos Wasmosi becomes the first democratically elected president of Paraguay in nearly 40 years. May 24th. Let's start with May 15th. 15th of May, Niamh Kavanagh wins the Eurovision Song Contest for Ireland with In Your Eyes. And now we move on to the 24th of May. Eritrea gains independence from Ethiopia. 28th, Eritrea and Monaco gain entry to the United Nations. June 1st. President of Guatemala, Jorge Serrano Elias, is forced to flee the country after an attempted self-coup. On that same day, Burundian presidential election 1993, the first multi-party elections in Burundi since the country's independence, lead to the election of Melchior Ndadaye, leader of the Front for Democracy in Burundi. The next day's legislative election sees his party win with an overwhelming majority. June 6, Mongolia holds its first direct presidential elections. June 22nd, Japan's new party, Sakigaki, breaks away from the Liberal Democratic Party. On the very next day, Andrew Wiles wins worldwide fame after presenting his proof of Fermat's last theorem, a problem that had been unsolved for more than 3 centuries. June 26th through 28th, Typhoon Korin causes massive damage to the Philippines, China, and Macau. What day in July am I having here? July 7th through 9th, the 19th G7 summit is held in Tokyo, Japan. Also on the 7th, Hurricane Calvin lands in Mexico. It is the second Pacific hurricane on record to land in Mexico in July. July 26, Miguel Indurain wins the 1993 Tour de France. On the 27th of that month, Windows NT 3.1, the first version of Microsoft's line of Windows NT operating systems, is released to manufacturing. August 5th, the discovery of the Tel Dan Stele, the first archaeological confirmation of the existence of the Davidic line, is announced. August 9th, King Albert II of Belgium is sworn into office 9 days after the death of his brother, King Baudouin I. On the 18th, the 14th century Kapellbruck covered wooden truss bridge in Lucerne, Switzerland, is largely destroyed by fire. On the 21st of August, NASA loses radio contact with the Mars Observer Orbiter 3 days before the spacecraft is scheduled to enter orbit around Mars. August 31st, Russia completes removing its troops from Lithuania. September 15th through the 21st, Hurricane Kurt crosses from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean through Central America and Mexico. On the 17th, Russian troops withdraw from Poland. September 23rd, the International Olympic Committee selects Sydney, Australia to host the 2000 Summer Olympics. On the 24th, the Cambodian monarchy is restored with Norodom Sihanouk as king. October 5th, China performs a nuclear test ending a worldwide de facto moratorium. October 11th through the 28th, the UNMIH is prevented from entering Haiti. On October 18th, economic sanctions abolished in August are reinstated. October 21st, a coup in Burundi results in the death of President Melchior Ndadaye and sparks the Burundi Civil War. October 25th, Canadian federal election 1993. Jean Chrétien and his Liberal Party defeat the governing Progressive Conservative Party, which falls to a historic low of 2 seats. November 5th, the Parliament of the United Kingdom passes the Railways Act 1993, setting out the procedures for privatization of British rails. November 12th, London Convention, marine dumping of radioactive waste is outlawed. November 17th through 22nd, the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, passes the legislative houses in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. December 5th, Rafael Caldera Rodriguez is elected president of Venezuela for the second time, succeeding interim president Ramon Jose Velasquez. December 8th, U.S. President Bill Clinton signs into law the North American Free Trade Agreement. December 12th, Peter Boros becomes the Prime Minister of Hungary following the death of Joseph Anfal. December 18th, Omar Bongo is re-elected the President of Gabon in the country's first multi-party election. December 30th, Israel and the Vatican establish diplomatic relations, and on that same day, the Congress Party gains a parliamentary majority in India after the defection of 10 Janata Dal Party lawmakers. Let's move on to some births in the year 1993. January 1st, John Flanagan, English footballer. On that same day, Alangot Oromite, Ugandan politician, is born. The very next day, you have Bryson Tiller, American singer-songwriter, is born. On the 9th, you have Ashley Argota, American actress, Katarina Johnson-Thompson, English heptathlete, Marcus Peters, American football player, and Aminata Zavadogo, Latvian singer-songwriter, born on this day. January 18th, you have Sean Keenan, Australian actor, and Morgan York, American actress, born. In February, you have Shane Harper. February 14th, you have Shane Harper, who is an American actor and singer, and Alberto Rosend, American actor, born. March 10th, Jeffrey Scaparota, American actor, and Jack Butland, English footballer, born. The very next day, Anthony Davis, an American basketball player, Demi Harmon, Australian actress, and Daisuke Sengawanye, Ugandan swimmer, are born. April 12th, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Canadian ice hockey player, is born. April 16th, Chance the Rapper, American rapper, is born. April 24th, Ben Davies, Welsh footballer, is born. May 18th, Jessica Watson, Australian sailor, is born. I'm going to scroll through down the rest here. Let's see, July 28th, Harry Kane, English footballer, is born, and Cher Lloyd, English singer, is born. July 29th, Dak Prescott, American football player, is born, and then the very next day, Andre Gomes, Portuguese footballer, is born. And I think I'm going to leave it there because I have to head out. I'm running a little bit late today for a couple things. If you guys have any questions, suggestions, comments for future episodes of the podcast, you can always email the show at hello@sleepandrelaxasmr.com. You can always check out our website, sleepandrelaxasmr.com. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you want me to do more whispered episodes, just send me emails. I try to accommodate to everyone the best I can. That's all for this episode. Thanks as always for listening,